Hello, everyone, and welcome to iReadit, bringing you your daily dose of the internet for Tuesday, December 5th, 2017. I am Michael Schwan.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
And I'm Joe McLaughlin.
Please remember, everybody, you can help support this show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet. Otherwise, we are doing an AMA and Ask Me Anything, a questions and answers, whatever you want to call it, a Q&A, next Thursday. That is going to be episode 400, so please submit your questions in the comments below. Submit them via email, feedback.ireadit@gmail.com. Drop it to us in any form of social media, and get those to us, and we'll compile them, and we'll answer your questions, again, next Thursday on episode 400. Guys, how are you doing today?
Meh?
Meh?
Yeah.
You're never that excited, so.
No.
All in all, pretty excited for the show, though.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I showed though.
What?
Yeah, but I showed though.
Yeah, but that's Shodo.
Yeah, but I showed though.
Yeah, but that's Shodo. God, what is this? Fucking the Flintstones?
Yabba dabba doo? No.
Yabba dabba Shodo.
Yabba
dabba show notes.
Yabba da backflip though.
Yo, is this Ubby Dubby?
No.
Oh, never mind then.
Okay. What is Ubby Dubby anyway?
Yo, have you ever watched Zoom on PBS?
No, I have not.
Oh, Zoom was a great show. Yeah.
They had a made-up language called Ubby Dubby.
Cool. Did you say Ubby Dubby a lot?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
All right, well, makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Nathan, your work okay? Joe, your work okay?
Yeah, I didn't really do much today.
It was work, you know.
I conducted a training, taught a bunch of people how to not break the rules, and we'll see how well that actually holds up. Otherwise, everybody, Joe McLaughlin, also known as Joseph McLaughlin, if you spend any time in our live Facebook chat, he is there quite often. He is a bit on the other side of the aisle in comparison to Nathan, whereas I try my best to stay as much in the middle of the road as possible, although I do know that I often lean to the left. He is going to be joining us today. His topic that he would also like to talk about, he submitted a story, and there's a lot of things that are tied to it, and that is basically, to sum it up, it is gun control and what is happening in regards to that today. That will be taking place after the top 10 news stories of the last 24 hours. Shall we go ahead and get started there, gentlemen?
Sounds good.
Sick. All right. Let me make sure that this functions and everything like that, because what's testing?
10.
Cool. Apple agrees to pay over $15 billion to Ireland in back taxes.
This is submitted by SP Sheridan to our news.
It's not, first off, it's not exactly back taxes, but to get into this, what it is that Apple has been funneling its money through Ireland for a very long time. Ireland had basically said, oh, you need to pay significantly less taxes than the United Kingdom says that you should pay. Like, even on a 1%, they've been paying 0.005% of their income in taxes, which is a gross under amount in comparison to how much they should be paying. And so finally, a bunch of legal people got involved, and they said, you need to pay these. You owe Ireland money. And Ireland's like, no, it's fine. No, you owe Ireland money. So currently, it was looking around to be $15 billion, but the money is actually being set aside pending ongoing legal challenges. So it's not actually going to be paid right now. We're waiting to find out what happens in regards to everything.
Well, okay, so it's yet to be paid, but they're in agreement to pay.
I just accidentally, there we go.
Not necessarily, Nathan. I think they're actually they kind of deny any wrongdoing and stuff, and they're just like, whoa, we didn't know.
And so does Ireland. Ireland is also saying they didn't do anything wrong. Which is funny, because the money would be paid to Ireland. But I think it's because Ireland benefits from Apple keeping all of its businesses, at least it's like funds going through Ireland. So even if Ireland is getting less money than it should, they're getting more money because Apple is funneling all of its money through them.
I'm just saying secret money is better than no money.
Yeah, and I mean, 15 billion on a GDP kind of, level. I mean, I think Ireland would rather not upset Apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to retain the business of Apple going through Ireland.
Yeah. As well they should. Like, fuck. Even though I hate it, it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Good business.
And that's really all it is business, trying to retain business and keep business as usual. Now, that said, with matters like these, especially once they've gotten to the legal side of things, they're going to be able to really lock it up in litigation for a very long time. And that's why that $15 billion has only been set aside. None of it's going to be paid while they go through the legal dispute over this matter.
Oh. So it's just kind of pending.
Sort of.
Yeah, they sent it in like a kind of a locked off account that is kind of just waiting for actual, ruling on whether or not they screwed up.
Yeah. If it ends up that they get the say that, yes, you are paying this, then they go, cool, here you go. And Apple doesn't care. I mean, they do care. They don't want to have to pay money, but this is not going to hurt Apple whatsoever.
No,
they have the
how much was
billion to spare.
15 billion? Yeah, this is nothing. This is fucking a day's revenue, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, it's more than a day's revenue, but they have so much money, literal money, not assets, actual cash just sitting around.
It's fucking insane, really.
It's impressive is the terminology I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever be playing on that big ball status, of 15 billion, but hopefully.
God. I would like to be playing on those $1,000 of business.
Right. Yep.
9.
Woman shares new evidence of relationship with Roy Moore when she was 17.
This was submitted by the Republitard to our politics.
Are you the Republitard, Mr. McLaughlin?
I am not the Republitard.
Oh, very well. Okay.
Only on occasions.
Only on occasions, right. It's all right. We got Democrats around here as well, so it's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. So what this is the story of Debbie Wesson Gibson. She had a relationship with Roy Moore, at least this is what she was saying, when she was 17 years old. She initially had talked about it proudly, that it was a good memory for her, but then recently, in regards to all of the things that Roy Moore has come out and said and denied and all of these things, and he initially said, yeah, I know who Gibson is, I know who these people are, and then later I said, those people are lying, I don't know who they are. And she's like, hey, fuck you, guy. And she found a scrapbook in her office with basically a bunch of scrapbook stuff of when they were together. And she's like, so what about all this? Huh?
Well, awkward.
Yeah.
17, is that illegal there at the time?
I have no idea, but she was 17 and he was 34.
I actually looked up the age of consent, and I think it was age of consent in Georgia.
Yeah.
And the age of consent in Georgia is 16. So
but what was it at the time?
It was 16 at the time.
Now, also, is it the stipulation where it has to be within 2 years, or is it just 16?
Nope, 16, and if you're 16 and over, and it's consensual, everything's good to go. Also looked it up for Alabama, which is, I guess, his home state or whatever, so.
Man, the South is weird, because that is gross.
Yeah, the South is weird, buddy. I grew up there. It's a weird-ass place. Now, while this doesn't actually do anything in terms of the cases that have been brought against them, it does give the other allegations a little bit more substance, is what it is. Especially because she has evidence of things that he is denying. Now, while in terms of this particular case, there's nothing wrong, it does just he's lying, which is not terribly surprising when it comes to politicians, but it is something that
they
shows
all lie. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, like I said, politicians lying and them kind of go hand in hand. So, but it does, one, prove that he's lying, and two, give more substance to the other cases that have been brought against him.
I would like to comment on this one just because I did some research on the actual allegations and who was making them against him, and I looked at all the supposed victims.
Sure.
And I was just looking at the ones that are currently listed, and it was saying that out of all of them, and I have no dog in the fight. If Moore, I really don't give two shits one way or the other. If Moore is, in office or not in office, do I think that someone who's morally corrupt like that and, just kind of doesn't have a good sense of morality should be in office? And the senator? Probably not. But, I mean, as far as all I could see, the only one that really breaks, law and stuff, if it turns out to be true, is the one with the 14-year-old, I think it was Leah Korfman.
Right.
And that was the one where they were claiming that, or she claimed that he took her and, touched her over her clothes and stuff like that, and then forced himself on her. And so that's the only one that really, if it comes up to be true, is the age stipulation. All the others were age of consent. So whether or not, yeah.
And it really comes down to your own moral stance, because, the problem with allegations of this nature on all fronts is they're difficult to prove. And that's why it's been something that for so long has fell by the wayside, because it's like, prove it. You literally can't, unless it happened yesterday and I actually assaulted you. You cannot prove anything. It is literally your word versus mine. It is he said, she said, and that is very difficult to get anywhere with, unless you get into moral stipulation. That's why very often there are not suits that are brought against this. Instead, people go after the people and appeal to people's morals. Like, you should fire this person. You go after the people that are above them, that can just fire them, because it's very difficult to get anything in terms of actual legal case against them.
Absolutely.
Now, in this particular case, people are trying to appeal to the moral sense of the voters. So, there's a lot of things that have already just pointed to that he would go after and pursue girls that are of this age range. Whether that is okay or not, that is up to you. In the legal sense of things, outside of the 14-year-old, it is not something that is going to be held against him, unless there is some sort of substantiating point to the 14-year-old. But how do you feel about a 34-year-old going after a 16, 17-year-old-ish?
Yeah, how would you like it if your 16-year-old daughter was dating a 35-year-old man?
And that's the thing. I totally agree. If I had a daughter who was 16, I wouldn't want her going anywhere near a creep like that.
Well, and also,
I totally agree.
And the one that really hit it the hardest for me, beyond just the allegations themselves, was the fact that he's literally been banned from a mall because of how much of a
creepy he is.
How much of a creep he is.
The fucking Tool, and not like the good band kind of Tool.
I don't even really care for Tool, so.
Ow.
Yeah.
That left a schism.
Real quick, and connected to this, Mitt Romney on Moore said, "No majority is worth losing our honor and our integrity."
Yeah, and I agree with Romney on that. We shouldn't vote someone like this into the Senate. It's just like, then we're just adding more moral corruption to our already morally corrupt government. Yeah,
and Mitt Romney spoke against President of the United States Donald Trump regarding these type of issues. He's been a moral voice, essentially, in regards to, like, maybe we shouldn't let shitty people in. Which we shouldn't let Hillary in if anyone wants to jump on that boat. We shouldn't let Trump in if anyone wants to jump on that boat. We shouldn't let people like Moore in. Which, when you get down to it, though, with everything that's been happening lately, we need to replace, 140...
Like 90% of it? Like, fuck.
A shitload of people.
Is that what's referred to as draining the swamp?
Maybe, but Moore is not helping drain the swamp.
We don't want more. We want less.
Yeah. No, Moore is that turd that's hanging on in the swamp. It's kind of clogging up the drain.
You could consider him to be a literal Moore.
Yeah.
A plot of land.
Moors are like swamplands, aren't they?
Yeah, like barren. Yeah, like I think there's some magic cards that refer to that. Yeah.
You gotta drain them more.
Yeah, a tract of open, uncultivated upland. So,
you can make so many slogans out of this.
None of them are good, though.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's good for the other side.
8. Jimmy Kimmel's 7-month-old son, Billy, had a successful second heart surgery.
Yo, that's exciting! That was also submitted by Night Fang to our uplifting news.
Jimmy Kimmel came out in May to speak about the troubles that his then 3-month-old son had been going through. He had been born with a severe problem internally, and I'm not going to try to name the actual problem, but basically his pulmonary valve was completely blocked, and he had a hole in the wall between the left and right sides of his heart. So lots of things needed fixed. And luckily, they knew that he was gonna. He already had went in for one surgery. They knew that he was gonna have to go in for another, and he seems to have had a very successful surgery and is expected to make a full recovery.
That's exciting. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Me too,
Congrats,
because
Jimmy.
bad things happening to babies and children is just wrong.
Unacceptable.
Like it's so like I'm just,
They're the only morally okay people.
We-
Actually, a lot of children are not morally okay. I've
They-
met quite
they-
a few that are kind of
they haven't had the
amoral
chance to become
bastards.
bad people yet, I think is what it is. Like we talked about the 13-year-old girl that committed suicide yesterday, and that's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like children should never be in a position where that happens. And it's even worse if it's something that and it's horrible if it's something that can be controlled. It sucks just as much if it's something that can't be in the case of like medical problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chadwick says it happens to preemie babies all the time. Yeah, which is one of the real big concerns if you end up having a baby prematurely. So, yeah. Congratulations, Jimmy Kimmel. I hope your son grows up to be quite big and strong despite his early troubles.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I hope so as well.
7.
Employer who stole nearly $3 million in wages from 157 workers fined $500.
This is submitted by Pussyfootus Maximus to our World News.
This is a very, very misleading headline. They will be fined more. This is just the first fine because the companies that are associated with contravening the Employment Standards Act, where they stole these wages from workers, they're still doing it. And so they've been issued an order to stop being douchebags, and part of that was a $500 fine. There are going to be other assessments later.
Okay, so I'm glad they're getting fined more because $500 is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, out of $3 million in stolen wages, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little. Yeah, that's definitely not enough.
Now the other issue is tracking down the.
Hey guys, do you guys still have me on here?
Yeah, I can still hear you. You have gotten a bit louder, but I can still hear you. Joe?
Yeah, I lost. I can't really hear you guys. I lost my headphones on your end, so can't really hear much. But yeah, I might try and call you guys right back.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Do it to it if you can hear it. I'll just do this. Hang on. I just hung up on him, and I'm gonna call him back and see if that does anything. In any case, so the problem is though that the people in charge of things that actually result. Is there an earthquake right now? The people in charge that actually put forth these actions to steal the wages from the workers, they are currently in hiding. One of which has ran away to China.
Oh no! Do you think they're gonna extradite him?
I don't know right now. There's not a whole lot of information about this. Joe, did you make it back in okay? I'm going to take that as a no.
No. He's still gone.
Okay, well we will keep working on that, but we are going to continue forward and hopefully we can get him back in here.
6.
I think I got you back here.
Oh, he's
Oh.
back. Bill O'Reilly and Fox News sued for disparaging female accuser.
Damn, this is submitted by Lacknayer to our news.
So what it is that we talked previously about how Bill O'Reilly had several sexual allegations brought against him over the years, the vast majority of which were closed in settlements. So, it's like, you're not going to take this to the media, we'll just pay you. A total of $13 million had been paid out to 5 women over these sexual harassment claims. But in those settlements were a non-disparagement clause, which means you're not allowed to talk bad about me. And I'm not allowed to talk bad about you. But with the other things that have come up, they started talking bad about all of the people that have made accusations against Bill O'Reilly. And so one of them said, I have a piece of paper that says that you wouldn't do that. It's a legally binding piece of paper. I'm going to sue you now.
Nice. So she gets even more money.
Maybe? I don't know. Like that's literally as far as this currently is bunch of allegations came out against Bill O'Reilly. We found out that there were other ones that had been closed in settlement. They said a bunch of bad shit about everybody. And then the people that they had already paid money to said, you're not allowed to do that, and we are going to sue you for more money. That's it.
Okay.
Well, and also
Okay.
the whole thing about, Bill O'Reilly getting kicked the fuck out because, well, that's what you should do with terrible
Well, because
people.
he's being a dickhead.
Because he's a terrible person.
Well, I mean, he's always been a dickhead. I guess, it's coming more to light that of his more not so in the light dickheadish things.
I feel like there is a difference between being like an aggressive asshole personality on TV and being a literal douche.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I don't know. I feel like if you play it for long enough, you just become it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's potential.
Yeah, Fox was saying on there that no one took advantage of like this hotline that they supposedly had that people could call and have tell them issues they were having with people.
Human resources and grievance.
Yeah, I mean,
and then people are like,
you might very well have been scared anyways.
Well, especially because of how much we're hearing and learning about the power that these people had to basically just end people. Like, yeah, you don't want your life to be ruined because you wanted somebody to pay for a wrong they did.
And that makes sense. I mean, why would someone necessarily want to go onto this hotline and report these things when they could just as easily get swept under the rug by these guys who are the big people in charge?
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like Scientology sweeping things under the rug. Yo, he actually, Danny Masterson got kicked off of his Netflix TV show. I think it was
he did.
The Path or something.
The Farm, the Ranch. That's what it's called.
The Ranch. Yeah.
5.
Mueller Mueller urges judge to deny Manafort's request to lift house arrest.
This was submitted by one tough motherfucker to Our World News.
And connected to this, Paul Manafort has been working with a man linked to Russian intelligence while under house arrest.
This was submitted by Rick Joe 526 Star Politics.
So what it is Paul Manafort is out on a very substantial bail. He is under house arrest currently while they go through the entire investigation of his money laundering and tax evasion and all that good shit. Same way we get all of the truly bad people is get them through their wallet. In any case, he has put in a request to be removed from house arrest. Special counsel Robert Mueller, with the Russian investigation for the FBI, has said, no, you should not release him from house arrest. He is at a huge risk of leaving the country. In fact, we have knowledge right now that he is in communication with somebody from Russia writing an op-ed. It's an article about the entire thing that's happening, essentially trying to make him look better in light of things that have happened. But that person is in Russia, and the FBI has evidence that suggests that the person that he's talking to in Russia has connection to Russian intelligence. And he's like, no, this person is at a super risk. You cannot let them leave because you will not get them back.
Yeah, no, that means you should absolutely deny that order.
Now,
I think
the order
his Russian contact.
I'm
I
sorry?
think his Russian contact is like in the Kremlin or something too. Like, supposedly was a higher ranking official. So I mean, yeah, if he's got friends that high up, he could run in no time.
Well, and the appeal was saying you should lift it on following an $11 million bail deal that was trying to be reached by the opposition here, and they're like, no, you can't put him on bail for having a massive bail. Doesn't mean anything when he is being investigated for laundering millions of dollars. Like, that's not how that's supposed to work. Also, bail is about.
I got a question.
What?
If you're laundering money, why does it make it dirty?
Nathan.
It's a pawn.
Their argument was also that bail is about trust, whether the court can trust the defendant to abide by the conditions so that you will appear in court. And we do not have trust in Paul Manafort's ability to show up and follow due diligence of this case.
I'm fairly certain that they're like one step away from actually detaining him.
I mean, they might have to, depending on how things go.
Yeah, I do believe so as well.
Chadwick says, yeah, but the court might really like that $20 million in bail. Well, there's two problems there. One, you pay bail, and then if everything goes well, bail is returned to you. The other thing on that is that if they do pay that bail and then he leaves the country and runs away, all you got's $20 million. When there's a much larger problem that is now no longer going to be addressed because they fled the country.
Yeah. You can't just patch some things over with $20 million.
A lot of things you could patch over with $20 million.
Right, but there's a lot that you can't.
Yeah, this one is not necessarily one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
4.
Thousands unfollow Senator John McCain after he asks for more Twitter followers.
This is submitted by Griffin to Are Not the Onion.
Yep. All right.
Everyone's a fucking troll.
Well, so he sent out a tweet that said, "We are only 74 Twitter followers away from 3 million. Spread the word and help us reach this big milestone." And everyone was like, "Don't you have more important things to worry about than hitting 3 million followers? GTFO." And then they left. And a whole bunch of people started unfollowing him. Now, when I say a whole bunch of people, he's only down like 17,000 followers. If he continues to be the person that he's been being in politics, he's going to hit 3 million. Honestly, if he would have just waited like a week, he would have hit 3 million. So, I don't know.
No, that's not going to happen. Also, Jin in the chat room says, first brain cancer, now losing thousands of followers. And then he posts a picture of Butters saying, "Aw, poor old John McCain."
No, it's more than that. It's a GIF. It goes on to say...
Oh, it's a GIF?
Yeah, he looks real sad, is also what it says.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, John McCain does look real sad all the time.
Yeah.
Fucking Chadwick says, whatever, if I could unfollow him twice, I would. You can, you just gotta like him again.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'll
he's just trying to get
that.
up on Trump's level with Twitter followers.
I'll sometimes do that to posts. I'll like it and unlike it and like it again if I really like it.
That doesn't do anything, though, Nathan.
I know it's more for me.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as it's more for you.
3.
Germany's war on coal is over. Coal lost. Its last mine is about to close.
This is submitted by Mavia to our Futurology.
So dramatic. Yeah.
Bwomp, bwomp, bwomp.
Germany's done with coal. Let me sum up this massive, really long article for you. Germany's done with coal.
Good. Yeah, let's get more countries on that.
The rest.
Now,
go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, on this one in particular, I found it really interesting. I mean, I read through the majority of this article. It took quite a while. You're right, Michael. It's a monster of an article. But how they're planning on using the shafts from the coal mines, it's actually ingenious.
Yeah, and that's what the rest of the article is talking about, is a little bit of history and then what they're going to do with the coal mines and the stuff in the coal mines afterwards. And it's neat stuff, but I feel like people are only upvoting.
What are they going to do?
Only upvoting this because coal's gone. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, what they're actually planning on doing is they're planning on using, I mean, you've got this giant hole in the ground. You dump water down it, down turbines, down, stuff like that, and you're going to create energy. It's just, they're going to use it for potential energy to store energy, gathered from, clean sources like wind turbines, stuff like that. And I've actually done a lot of research with, renewable energy, and I had a whole class on it in college, and this is like an ingenious way of making use of infrastructure that's already currently in place and cost millions of dollars for, renewable energy, that it's turning coal into renewable energy almost. It's really cool.
It's awesome.
Science. I love science.
Good job, Germany.
Yeah.
Way to be on it.
Yeah, Germany's like, what if we stop trying to take over the world and just try and do cool things?
Right.
That's like, I've had people ask me, they're like, are you proud of your German heritage? And I'm like, well, let's go over German's heritage. There's the Germanic tribes and tried to kill everybody. And then we went into the 1800s and tried to kill everybody. And then then in World War I, we tried to kill everybody. And in World War II, we tried to kill everybody.
But really tried to kill everybody.
Tried real hard. And now we're just like, maybe we'll stop trying to kill everybody. And it seems to be working okay. So maybe?
Yo, that's like what happened to Japan.
Japan was like, what if we stop trying to blow
Weird.
people up?
I wonder what happened in World War II to make them both go very peaceful.
Oh, well, I can tell you what made Japan peaceful.
Oh. Yeah, you should not joke about that. That's a lot of people dead.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people dead in Germany too, Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh Lord. Of course, I feel like Germany wouldn't have been such a dick in World War II if after World War I the world wasn't such a dick to them. Like, I understand punishment, but the world basically just started wiping its ass with Germany after World War I. So
yeah, that's fair. Oh God, their economy was super tanked beforehand. World War I really helped them out for their economy, but it also fucked them overall because, God damn.
Yeah,
but war is always good for economy, at least.
Sometimes. Donald Trump's personal banking information handed over to Robert Mueller.
This is submitted by Sidrank TV2 to Art Politics.
People get really excited about headlines. The Russian investigation through the FBI with special counsel Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller is following the money, and he has put in a subpoena for information from the Dutch Bank, which is one of Donald Trump's largest lenders. And Dutch Bank said, "Yeah, sure, here you go,
go for it."
There you go. That's the whole story. That's it.
Wow, that was really short. You just put in a subpoena.
It said,
"Congrats, you did something that everyone does."
Yeah, we need bank records. Okay. And the reason that people are excited is because that people are like, there could be potential for them to find something in there. Donald Trump, you dirty bitch, what are you hiding? Or it could just be his bank records from the Dutch bank. So, yeah, there's nothing else right now besides that it happened.
Well, I mean, that's a step somewhere,
I guess. Got anything, Joe?
It's like you were saying in the previous show, they're going after that slime, and the pork chops, just so readily available.
Yeah.
And it's like,
or like,
okay, they have his bank records.
Oh, no,
you want to look at my bank records?
You got to think about it like, no, stop. You got to think about it like this, right? Instead of sitting there going after the slime, you got to think about it in a bigger scheme of things. This is talking about one piece of the ingredients. This is talking about the cloves that are going into the giant shit stew that is, Russiagate. You gotta explain why your flavors are your flavors. You also gotta explain when you put those flavors specifically into your stew. Otherwise, you can't accurately paint a picture of a beautiful stew.
I guess. I feel like people get excited about the smallest thing right now. Like, you're talking
Maybe that's their favorite flavor.
Well, I was going to make a similar comparison of, like, this is an ingredient. It's not cooked yet. It may turn into a nice, tasty steak for you. Or it may turn into a pile of literal nothing. Like,
right. But, I mean, I would like to be advised if I had a nice, juicy steak on its way. Or, a steak in general.
Yeah, Nathan, you're poor. You have to pay for that.
Yo.
Or it could just be all of Trump's porn purchases. I mean, we just don't know yet.
You think he purchases porn? He probably goes and trolls those free websites like Pornhub.
True, for sure.
YouTube, or Pornhub, YouPorn, RedTube.
Don't forget the
Porntube.
hammies.
Don't strain yourself there, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, like X-Hamster.
There you go.
Yeah. Fuck.
E-fuck?
One.
Damn, that was good.
I have no idea. Anyway, FCC Chair Pai, who is carrying out Verizon's plan to end net neutrality, again, so damn dramatic, is speaking at Verizon's headquarters tomorrow.
This is submitted by TextDog to Our Technology.
By the way, one real quick thing. Facebook, I am in the middle of streaming something live. Don't pop something up that's like, one of your friends just went live. Like, no, I'm in the middle of something here. Don't tell me that someone else is live.
Yo, but like they might want to join too.
Yeah, so today and tomorrow,
get them in here.
In Washington, Verizon is going to be having this big shindig. They're going to bring together the leaders of technology and communications to discuss policy and regulatory matters for America and the rest of the world. One of the people speaking at that is going to be chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pai. And people are like, you dirty bastard. Which, I mean, yeah, Ajit Pai, you're a pretty dirty fucking bastard, and I have a very large amount of disdain for you, immensely.
More like a shit pie.
A shit pie. Yeah.
Jin says, speaking on behalf of net neutrality, America needs to step its game up. I literally just got back from a country in which access to the internet, while limited, was far superior to anything that is available here. Honestly, I know many people think down of centralizing an industry, but having only one body will literally stop all these crappy monopolies that is forcing me to use DSL in 2017 in New York.
Yeah, we talked about it before. 100%, I believe internet should be a utility that is regulated by the federal government, much like your water or your power lines. Like, it is such an integral piece of modern society that
it's
to allow
information, man.
To allow someone to have such a unfair ass-ramming grip on it is fucked up.
Ass ramming grip. That's an interesting.
Like, it's not okay. Like, you know, especially because there is no competition in it. It is literally just you have one, if you are really lucky, maybe two options. And both of them are still going to be on the same page, which is their page, which is screwing you as much as they can.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, if the library is maintained by the state, maintained by the government, the local government, it doesn't matter. Fucking internet should as well.
Yeah. Like, you know where the competition comes in the internet? What's on the internet? Like, we are competing for your attention right now on the internet. There are people that, like, Nathan rattled off 6 different porn sites that are all competing for your dick.
Was it 6? Do I use 6 different porn sites?
That said, I believe...
But I only have 5 fingers on my one hand.
But I believe most of them are actually all managed by the same parent company, so whatever on that one.
Whoa, let's not talk about parents when it comes to porn.
But...
I mean, it happens a lot. Like, you can't go to one of those sites without one of the first thing that pops up being fucking about parents.
Like Amazon Prime...
Or about fucking parents.
Amazon Prime streaming, HBO Go, Netflix, Hulu, all of these are competing for your attention in terms of entertainment. That is the competition of the internet. Not actually getting access to the fucking internet.
Right? And if you're gonna fucking try and charge me extra for certain things, I'm just gonna fucking stop using your service.
But you can't, Nathan.
No, I can't. I will be more than okay being a fucking hermit. I've already talked about it.
But what about the show, Nathan?
I will do the show via Squirrel.
Awesome. Right on. We'll have them deliver little scribbly bits for us.
Notes, yeah.
Scribbly bits. Scribbly bits.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be on bark.
Sure.
That way, you know, it'd be like I'm barking up the wrong tree or something. I don't know.
You're awful. Oh, shit! World's first smart condom collects intimate data during sex and tells men whether their performance is red hot or a total flop.
Yo, this is submitted by Chadwick via email. Also, they have computers that register that quickly?
God damn it, Nathan. One, it's not a smart condom. First off, it is a cock ring. I want to.
Yo, I'm okay with this. I've never tried a cock ring, but I'm open.
It's a Fitbit for your dick.
A fit dick. Come on, let's be real.
It's a Fit dick.
Okay, it actually really does look like a Fitbit for your penis. Like
it's a fit dick.
Like 100%. I'm gonna drop it in the feed right now because yeah, it looks like a Fitbit for your penis. Like there's no other way of describing it. It's real stretchy though, so no matter how large you are, they want to let you know that you should have utmost comfort wearing it.
It's all right. That's good to know.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, dude, it's
Nathan,
even.
You
ribbed.
need to patent that.
It's even ribbed.
Yep, and it's supposed to have all these sensors in it, and then you'll be able to compare yourself to the rest of the people using it. So, yep.
Neat. Is there going to be like leaderboards for best sex now?
I don't know, but the company claimed that over 900,000 people have already expressed interest in the gadget.
Yo, I'm going to get super competitive when it comes to sex.
You can get your icon, is what it's being called.
Oh, God.
For $60, 60 pounds, approximately $50 US.
Put them 60 pounds on this dick, know what I'm saying?
Sometime next year. Jesus. Oh, okay. Thank you, Chadwick. I would just like to personally thank you for that because, wow,
that's amazing. That's actually amazing.
Okay,
We're the show.
we're gonna go ahead and I think McLaughlin would like this soundbite to go into gun control.
Fuck no.
All right. In any case, we do have two stories here. The first, we'll go over the stories, and then we'll just kind of also open it up to general discussion on the topic of gun control. The first one is submitted by McLaughlin himself. Police in one state are now ordering people to surrender their guns to the government. And what this is about is this is happening. Sorry, I realize I already read who was submitted by. I apologize, Nathan. Fuck you and your job.
Wow. Okay.
And what it is that they are trying to get people to surrender their guns in Hawaii if they smoke weed, because weed is the same as heroin on a federal level. So if you smoke weed, you are not allowed to own a gun.
All right, so this comes down to the classification of weed, really.
Whatever. And that is how they're trying to get people to round up their guns in Hawaii. The other part of it is that the FBI is trying to seize over 4,000 guns from buyers that failed their background checks. So currently with the way that it works, if you buy a gun, they submit your background check. If you don't get the results of that background check within 3 days, then they are allowed to go forward with the sale. And they've had that happen a lot of times. Then it came back of, you really shouldn't give that guy a gun. And then they have to figure out how to try and get it back.
I'm okay with them trying to go get that back.
So those are the two stories today. But the real topic, I think, in general, is gun control as a whole. We've expressed our opinions in the past. We will most likely express them again today. But Mr. McLaughlin, if you would like to take the floor to open things up.
Well, thank you, Michael. But no, anyways, I mean, it's really interesting kind of what's happening in Hawaii, because what they're doing is anyone who's registered for a medical marijuana card in Hawaii, because they recently just legalized medical marijuana in Hawaii, they're just going to say, hey, you need their direct words were, you need to voluntarily surrender your firearms within 30 days. And the police chief sent out a letter and all this other stuff about it. And I think it just sets a very dangerous precedence when they start picking and choosing. Okay, so federal law, even the use of medical marijuana is considered illegal under federal law.
Right.
And then if you're a habitual or chronic drug user under federal law, it says you're not allowed to own a firearm.
Yep.
So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, so we want to keep the portion of the law intact that says if you are a marijuana user, you're not going to own a gun. But we want to go against federal government saying, hey, we're going to legalize marijuana in a medical purpose here, and that's going to be okay. And so what they're doing is they're just picking and choosing parts of federal law they want to follow. And if you compare it to something like alcohol, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you drink alcohol, you're allowed to own a gun. Alcoholics are allowed to own firearms.
Yep, they sure are.
What's the difference there? I mean, weigh in on that, guys.
From everything I have seen, alcohol is exponentially more destructive than marijuana, flat out, ever.
100% agree.
Like, on every facet, even in comparison of when it's consumed. And, because people are like, you really shouldn't consume marijuana if you were below the age of 25, in terms of that's when it can have detrimental effects to the development of the brain. Alcohol has the same problems. Alcohol is a terrible substance. It's just the one that's been around long enough and people think's okay.
Exactly.
So and it's not.
It's really not. All right,
no. It's all right in moderation. Everything's fine in moderation.
I don't know. Heroin's not fine in moderation.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Lemmy Kilmeister lasted for a long fucking time railing heroin every single fucking day.
That doesn't make it okay, Nathan.
Right, but I'm just saying, in moderation, you can still live a long ass time.
That doesn't make the drug okay.
No, but I'm just saying.
And no, it is a very good point, and it's one of the problems that really comes in with how our entire government system operates, between the interactions of state government and federal government. And I have made the comparison of, like, think of the EU as this overarching government that kind of falls over top of all of the countries' governments that are members of the European Union. That's really how America works, is we have the American government, and then the states, just think of them as small little countries that for the most part can do almost whatever they want. And the way that those interact is such a weird, like, tangled mess at times.
Well, there's actually lawsuits involved in this thing here, too. And that's what I'm finding interesting, that people who this is happening to are suing the federal government saying, you know, hey, what the hell? Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the panel called marijuana. They said it's the same as heroin, like you were saying, but it also causes irrational or unpredictable behavior.
So does booze.
So that's the reasoning behind banning it, and it's just like banning firearms to people who hold these cards.
No. I will tell you this: the only thing that is unreasonable about any person's behavior when they're fucking high is whether or not they should be waiting for their Hot Pocket to finish cooking. Oftentimes, they don't wait. There's like,
a little cold in the middle.
It's so harmless.
Yeah, I've not known many baked people to be super aggressive.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's this whole issue, and I think they're going to find out that either Hawaii or the federal government, someone stuck their foot way up their ass, and, you know, really kind of screw the pooch on this one. Well, and I think there's going to be damning repercussions for one side or the other. Like you were saying, Michael, it's just like the EU, you know, federal government, states underneath kind of just doing whatever they want. Someone's going to get bit in the ass for it.
Well, and the complicated part when it comes to things like this is that I feel like it's something that does need to be talked about. It's something that does need to be addressed, but so many people are trying to push it farther down the road. And the problem with that is that it continues to build up pressure until, like, it's going to end up being a very bad reaction in some format, whether that it results in you know, them trying to just confiscate all of them or something else happening, and it's going to end up leading to a ultimately more negative result than if it was just addressed.
Yeah, exactly. And Chadwick just mentioned here, he said that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is very liberal, so he'd be surprised if they actually find a way to vote against the guns. So if they, I mean, it's still kind of in the works right now, but they've been given 30 days to hand them over by the chief of police of Hawaii. So,
and like, I don't see that happening flat. I mean, you might get some because some people are really happy to say, yes, sir, thank you, sir, may I have another? But really within the context of how this is being conducted, it's not going to go over very well. And like in the other story, in regards to them trying to seize guns that were given to people that failed their background checks, that's going to be very difficult as well because, well, they have a friggin' gun.
Well, I'd actually like to go into that. Oh, sorry, Nathan, go ahead.
No, you're good.
And
all right, I was going to say,
go ahead.
Into the 4,000 guns that were, you know, moved and sold to people with, hey, we shouldn't have sold these people guns. And yeah, like you were saying, they got a freaking gun. They were saying that actually they took a random selection of 125 examined cases of where it was actually distributed. 93% of those firearms were recovered.
Good. But unfortunately, it's not 100%, which is part of the problem.
True. Yeah, it's not 100%.
And
a large number.
And in terms of gun control as an overarching subject, really, the thing that I would like to see, one is, like, that fucking 3-day rule needs to go the fuck away. Like, people can wait a little while to get their firearm if it means that less people
I'm upset I have to wait to get my gun.
Yeah, you need to wait a little bit.
Is you're right. People can wait. There doesn't need to be, I mean, this is coming from someone who is a big gun owner, big gun supporter. If I'm going to buy a gun, I'm going to pass my background check. If I have to wait, 3 or 4 days, 5 days, whatever, for it to pass, even if I have to wait for it to pass, just no stipulation on day or time, that's fine. If it causes less deaths, less gun violence or whatever, sure. Do I think that that's necessarily going to be one of the big, things that really takes the numbers down? Not necessarily, but hey, I don't mind waiting. Well, this is coming from a gun owner.
Yeah, and the other things that I personally want to see, because while I like to see the systems that like Japan and Australia have in place, if they just remove damn near all the guns, I know that realistically that is not an option in America. Like, that is not going to happen. So we have to look for other options, and that's where my brain has went to. And the things that I would like to see, I would like guns to have, I don't want to say regulated because that's not quite the right word, to have the requirements that like your car does, that you have to pay, it has to have a registration and has to continuously, your car has so many things that are required of it, of you have to have a registration on it. That registration has to be re-upped every year or two depending on where you live. You have to have insurance on it and you are responsible for it. Because there are times when a gun just disappears and then it reappears later and 15 people are dead from that disappeared firearm and nothing really happens because of it. If someone steals my car, it's tied to me and it also has insurance on it and things along those lines. The other things I want to see is just proper psych evaluations and making sure that everything is actually done and squared away before someone is handed a gun, which I don't feel like those things are too extreme to ask of guns and gun owners.
But they hinder my ability to get a gun, and I'll tell you what, if I come back in the negatives for my psych eval and I'm not able to get a gun, you bet your sweet ass I'm going to be complaining.
Well, see, I agree with you in some points there, Michael, but not all of them. I mean, if you want to know where every single firearm is in the U.S. at any one given time, I think that's a little excessive, because then you're saying, okay, so we're going to know where everyone's guns are. So if there's a large concentration of guns in this area, right, that's going to be, and the argument from the right side is going to be that we shouldn't have to tell the government exactly how many firearms we own, how much ammunition we own, how much anything like that we own, because it's none of their business. But should it be regulated at the point of sale? Totally agree. And one of the other points that I had here was that the law enforcement, military, and the mental health authorities. The thing is, there's no punishment in place for them not reporting,
right,
and not giving the records in a timely manner. That needs to stop. There needs to be some kind of regulation put on those agencies that says, okay, we had an issue with gun violence or domestic violence at this point. This needs to be submitted within 24 hours of the case or something to the federal government to put them on that list. And totally agree with that. They need to do 100% better on requiring these agencies to keep up on their reports, because if they don't, then again, they, like you said, 4,000 plus guns just made it through because of that day or the 3-day whatever limit, and that information wasn't reported where they shouldn't have got the gun. Like the one that we mentioned, or that you guys mentioned earlier in one of the other videos, was the one with the Air Force.
Sure, yeah, and
right?
and that's a big failing on their part. And in terms of and like, I understand realistically we will not know where 100% of the guns are. And I'm going to continue with my comparison to cars. We do not know where 100% of all the cars are in America. But in terms of the damage that you can do a lot more damage to society with a gun than you can with a car. And it shouldn't be that big of a deal for the same process you go through for your car to go through with a gun. And in terms of the 3-day thing, yeah, that needs to go away, especially considering this year on Black Friday, 200,000 firearms were purchased on Black Friday, and those are supposed to be processed with
200,000 applications.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, I mean, 200,000 background checks, I guess is the phrasing that I should use. That's a lot to process in 72 hours. You're not gonna. Like, even if you had good staff.
Chadwick makes a good point here, though.
What's that?
Like, in the chat room, Chadwick says, the rule was put into place because Washington, D.C. was making people wait for permits for 20 to 30 years. And by wait, they actually never approved those permits. And so there is a balancing act in the thing of, okay, there are going to be people in power who are going to say, well, now that we have this in place and there is no limit on waiting, let's just push things indefinitely.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some stipulation
to make it like a fairly long one, make it like six months to a year.
Like,
that's how long you have to wait maximum.
And
maximum?
And
maximum.
I would still have a problem with, knowing that someone didn't have the proper checks and we're still handed a gun. Like 3 days is not enough. In 6 months, you realistically should be able to get all those checks done in that time.
Within that time.
But I don't know, because then you will still run into the same issues we have. But I do understand the concern of, they can't get it until we approve it. Well, just don't approve any of them because we're backlogged. That happens in several aspects of, we got a huge backlog, which is maybe a problem that should be addressed in regards to staffing and the amount.
So what you do is you tax gun sales, right? You tax it a decent amount, maybe like 10% per gun. And then you take that extra tax revenue that you get from those gun sales and you put it into a department specifically for people to check backgrounds for people to get guns.
Yeah, those sound real good on paper, but are never in place and rarely actually end up happening, because the people that's the type of thing that a senator or a representative walks in with of like, I would like to do this, and it's one piece of paper, and everyone's like, yes, we can pass that through, and it turns into a 500-page piece of paper that does a shitload of other stuff and fucks over the original idea because politics is dumb. So, on a surface statement of what you're saying, yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's a matter of actually making something like that happen.
And, gun sales are already taxed. One of the main reasons you don't see huge discounts on firearms and stuff at, for sales and stuff, because there already are quite a few taxes levied on firearm sales to where, some of that money is going for these agencies like the ATF. I believe that's already, somewhat happening. I don't know specific instances of it, but I would think that it already is, because I know that there are some taxes already on firearms. But then you got to go into the secondary market of buying a firearm. In the state of Alaska, the only thing you are required to do is make sure that the person is over 21 years of age to privately sell a firearm.
Yeah, and that's another problem I have. And it
that needs a little bit more work.
And that's part of the reason that I said they should function like cars. When you can sell a car privately, and you have your title to the car, and you sign and say, I sell it to this person, and that person says, I bought it from this person. And then they take that to the DMV and said, I bought this car. Can you put it in my name now? And they go, yeah, blah, 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 blah. There you go. It's not
and that could be something like a bill of sale required at the time of private sale. And that could be something, hey, that would be a concession that I think a lot of people on the right would be actually willing to make. I don't think it's something that...
I also feel like a standardized test and I feel like a standardized test and a license for a gun shouldn't be too far off either.
Depends on your licensing, though, because then you point out where there's conceal versus non-concealment and where are they going to make the stand on that. And a lot of states already do.
Just make two different tests, whether or not they allow concealed carry or not. If they do allow concealed carry, make them take that test. If they don't allow concealed carry, make them take a different test. It's not too hard to make multiple tests. As long as there's some test in place so that people can understand what they're getting into when they're buying their firearm. What they can and can't do with that firearm, whether to bring it to certain places or, whip it out in certain fashions. It's like, hey, I can take this out so I can show somebody. However, I can't take it out and wave it around in the fucking air. I can't be squeezing the trigger every fucking second.
So, as we begin to actually try and close out here, a question to you, Joe, as a gun owner, and I'm going to continue with this comparison to a car. Every 5 years, I have to go in and renew my driver's license. I pay $100 a year in registration for my car. It's actually $200 every 2 years, but split that out. How would you feel with having to retake your gun test every 2 to 5 years, depending on how it ends up shaking down, and paying $25 a year per gun for its registration, just so that we have documentation on it, and then... Answer that one, and then what is your thought on some form of insurance on a gun for damage that gun might cause?
Okay, so the first one, as far as going in every year, 2 years, or stipulated amount of time, paying some money to license your gun for every gun you own. I personally have every gun I own. I have the serial number written down. I know where those guns are at all time. I know whether they're unloaded or not loaded.
Sure.
So a lot of this stuff is I already do myself. I already put checks on myself to say, and mind you, not everyone is responsible like that.
Right, yeah.
But the issue comes in to where that kind of licensing, guns should be something that are widely available to your common law-abiding citizens. Agreed?
Did you say they should or shouldn't be?
Should be. They should be widely available to your law-abiding, common, everyday Joe. You know,
yeah, if you want
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the registration point of it would put a lot of strain on current gun owners. Me in particular. I mean, if I had to pay $25 for every gun I own, whew, that's a good chunk of change per year, plus buying ammunition, and I guess that's a certain choice that everyone would have to make. But people are going to cry foul about that because it's just going to be really taxing on their wallet. So, I mean, I wouldn't be for it because, frankly, I think it's going to cost me a lot of money. And I think that there are quite a few responsible gun owners who already kind of put that stuff on themselves to do and keep, registration of all their guns. If a gun is stolen from their house or something, they'll file a claim, stuff like that, to know where their guns are at all times.
Sure. Okay.
And then they'll report that serial number to the police if the firearm is stolen. I know I would.
Okay.
And so that's something, I mean, I feel like it's kind of already there. And then with the insurance point, then you have to go into, I mean, there's going to be a lot of whole legal stuff, and I'm not totally against it. But if I have to be honest, it's like, if I have to carry insurance on my gun, am I going to have to start putting insurance on, all of my knives? Am I going to have to start putting insurance on a lot of other things that could potentially harm people and I could use as a defensive weapon or something like that if someone were to break into my home? So what is going to be the point of that insurance? If I shoot someone who breaks into my home?
I feel like at that point it comes down to the stopping power of said weapons. The stopping power of a gun is way more vast than the stopping power of a knife.
Well, also, let me just amend that then. Instead of insurance on a gun, you have a form of insurance of the responsibility over the weapons that you own.
Okay, and then we're going to have to come up with a whole new insurance.
Right. No, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork and stuff that is involved with that. But as a concept.
As a concept, I'd be open to it. The only thing that once you open it up as a concept and then the lawmakers get their hands on it, they're going to want to put in all kinds of stipulations. So they're going to put on stipulations of where I shoot the person when they come into my home. They're going to put on stipulations of, do I use hollow points? Do I use full metal jackets?
So now,
the main reason for using hollow points is, yes, it does more damage, but you're not likely to go through and through on your target, and it's going to not hit someone that was unintended. So, I mean, there's all those stipulations that once we open up the can of regulating those things, they're going to want to regulate everything down to the paint on your gun.
So now my question then is, with those statements, you say, that and you're a responsible gun owner, and that's great. That is fantastic. But there are millions of people who are not. Okay? And they own their guns legally. They pass their background checks, but they are not anywhere near the level of responsible that you are. If you feel that the cost burden and the burden of the paperwork and stuff involved with, renewing your license and registering the weapons and maintaining that is too large of a burden, then should we remove those things from vehicles?
Should we remove licensing, all that from vehicles?
Should you no longer have to pay and continuously renew your driver's license? Should you no longer have to pay every year or so to renew the registration on your vehicle? Should you not be required to have insurance on your vehicle?
See, now,
because you can...
I don't think your vehicle should have to be registered. That's a personal opinion of mine. Do I think that you should have to carry insurance? Sure, and I think that registration of vehicles is a good way to track whether people are carrying those. But again, I'm more right wing. I'm going to be slightly more pushing back against larger regulations on my day-to-day life.
Because the argument there is that you can choose to not have a car and to avoid the hassle of renewing your driver's license, maintaining your registration, getting your insurance, and you can choose to not own a gun.
True.
So
but
if you feel that it is
again,
okay...
Cars aren't in the Constitution and guns are.
Sure. But
So
you have the right to own.
Can you not amend the Constitution?
Well,
yes, and you can.
Here's the difference: you have the right to own it, but that does not mean that you have the right to own it for free without regulation.
Again, I'm not for a lot of regulations on my day-to-day life to where what I can and can't own without these stipulations in place, and it's just going to be. So when do we stop the regulation? At what point do we stop the regulation?
So then you would be okay.
What can and can't we regulate?
So then you would be okay if you did not have to renew your driver's license, did not have to register or maintain insurance on a vehicle.
Would I be okay if I never had to do it again?
Everybody.
Everybody? No. I would not be okay if everybody did not have to do that on a vehicle.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to be driving around and have some asshole hit me, and then there we go.
And I don't want to be walking around and have some asshole that has a gun that is unregistered that he shouldn't have shoot me, is where that comes in.
Yep. And I mean, there are valid sides on all arguments, and I'd be open to looking at it, but I'm worried about when we do look at it, where are they going to stop? Like, that's my point. We need to draw a line of what is too much.
Sure.
Because if we don't do that, then we're just handing over all of our freedoms.
Oh, no, and I totally understand that. And I really do understand that, especially because things like those regulations can be taken way too far, and they can be written in very nefarious ways. But and
that's the thing.
And that's like why I do not suggest taking guns from people, because that is an even larger bag of cats that you have then literally punched and will not go over well. So in that case is where I'm standing of there's no point in even trying to take them from people, just a little bit more than what we have now. Because what we have now is pretty damn shoddy, especially in comparison to other things that are part of our day-to-day lives, like vehicles.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just kind of going to be one of those things where if we do look into it, and it might very well come up one of these days, it's going to be a huge contention point for everyone involved. And
it will.
Yeah, it's not something I'm looking forward to. Let's just put it that way.
We have broken an hour again, though, because that's what we do.
Yep, I know.
And we're going to go ahead and get out of here, everybody. If you would consider supporting the show, patreon.com/dailyinternet. And do remember that we have an Ask Me Anything, a Q&A happening next Thursday, episode 400. Please submit those in the comments wherever you're listening to this. Send it to us on social media. You can find it at iReaditCast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, friggin' everywhere. So get those questions into us. We'll be happy to answer them next Thursday. Yeah, and that's it. You can find me at Schwan Michael on almost all social media, Nathan at Bimmenstein. Joe, is there anywhere that you would like to direct people to keep up with you, or would you like to remain just a name that has joined the show?
No, if people want to contact me, I'm more than happy to discuss it. I mean, I can be found on Facebook under Joseph McLaughlin, and you can also send me emails at josephmclaughlin@yahoo.com.
There you go, everybody. All right, that is your 394th dose of the internet. I am Michael Schwan.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
And I'm Joseph McLaughlin. Thanks, everybody.
Please remember, everybody.
Don't get eliminated!
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.